What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about Allemannsretten, which translates to every man's right, or the right to roam in Norway. So today, I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, how does the right to roam act really work? So, from what I understand, the right to roam in Norway is the right to basically explore or hike or camp anywhere in Norway. But I thought it would be really good to learn about the details of Allemannsretten. This is not something that exists here in America. It's a very uniquely Norwegian idea. So I just want to learn a little bit more about how it works. It says Allemannsretten, the Right to Roam Act, is a cool feature in Norway, but there are a lot of misconceptions around it. I thought it could be a good idea to make a thread clearing them up. So I actually want to take a look at this because I have a very basic idea of this right to roam. Like, can you go absolutely anywhere in Norway? Like, can you go into someone's backyard and set up a camp and a tent and go camping? Like, I don't know. What you can do, you can freely walk and camp on uncultivated private property all over Norway. So you can walk, you can explore and hike and walk and camp on uncultivated private property. What does uncultivated private property really mean? Maybe I can actually get like a definition. Uncultivated. Let's just look up uncultivated. It means, this is actually useful. It's land not used for growing crops. So it can't be farmland. Oh, that makes sense. You can't be stomping all over somebody's farm and crops and ruining all their plants and stuff. Okay, that makes sense. So you can go on private property. You can use private access roads to walk to uncultivated land, pick berries and mushrooms, and you can fish in salt water. Really? Wait, you can actually go on private property? Is that true? I'm a little bit surprised by that. What you cannot do is anything on cultivated land. This includes grassy fields where a farmer is planning to basically farm the land. There are no signs. You are responsible for knowing. That's a big point as well. That's good to know because I think a lot of Americans would use ignorance as an excuse and basically be like, well, I didn't know this was cultivated land. I didn't know this was farmland. And it's like, no, that's not going to work in Norway. It's your responsibility. If you are using the right to roam, the Allemannsretten, you need to be responsible for knowing if it's legal where you're going. If in doubt, ask. Yeah, if you can find someone to ask, you are probably on cultivated land. Wow. Right to roam only covers hiking on your feet and sleeping in a tent. It does not cover a vehicle. Oh, wow, this gets very detailed. Huh. I did not realize it got this detailed. So, it's pretty specific, this right to roam. It's a really cool idea. To be honest, it's not really even something that we need in America. America has some cool places, but there's not too many Americans out hiking and exploring like parts of America. Like it's not that beautiful, not compared to Norway. Norway has a lot of amazing land, amazing geography that you want to be able to actually go explore a lot of cool places. So, a right to roam in Norway makes sense. In America, it's like, we don't need it. Like, nobody's walking around exploring, like, not really in America. So we don't really even think about this kind of thing. But in Norway, you have to know you can't. It doesn't cover a vehicle. You can't just drive your pickup truck all over nature. You cannot park off the road. You can't drive on private roads. It doesn't matter if there's a no camping sign or not. You can't camp in a car on private property. Wow. That's still the part that kind of shocks me. You can you can go on private property as long as it's uncultivated and as long as you're walking. That's pretty amazing to me. In America, it's like you do not want to walk on private property. In a lot of parts of America, you could get shot, or like it'd be legal, like in Texas. If you're walking on private property, they could shoot you, and it'd be okay. Like they wouldn't really get in trouble. So it's quite a bit different. You are responsible for understanding which roads are public and private. Bikes without engines are okay. Ah, okay. You can't camp close to houses or cabins. You have to be 150 meters away. No more than 2 days in the same place. Oh my goodness, this is detailed. This is good though. It's like, this is fascinating because you get a lot of freedom in Norway, but you don't get absolute freedom. There are limitations. You can't just camp right next to someone's home, which I think makes sense. Like that'd be strange if you could just go set up your camp right next to somebody's house, right by the wall. That'd be weird. And you can't stay more than 2 days in one place. The law says you can stay longer if you are far into the mountains, away from people. But be aware, this distance is measured in Norwegian mountain people miles. What? What? If you have walked for 3 days and nights and not seen anyone, you're probably far enough. Huh. Wow, so you have to move your camp every few days. You are allowed to pick berries and herbs and mushrooms on uncultivated land to eat and bring home. Wow, some areas for cloudberry in northern Norway are private property. In these areas, you can still pick directly into your mouth but not bring anything home. Wow, this is wild to me. How much freedom people have. Like, you can really walk on private property, property that other people own, as long as they're not cultivated. You can actually go walk on it and eat like berries from their land? Am I understanding this right? Wow. All the trees and anything growing on trees are off limits. You can eat a hazelnut in the forest, but you can't bring it home. Huh, if you want to make a wreath from a pine tree or make syrup, you need permission from the forest owner. So, man, there's a lot of details here. You really got to know your stuff. You got to know the law in Norway, or you could get in trouble. Because there's a lot of little, like, exceptions and laws, and you have to ask permission or not. You have to know if it's private property or not. It's your responsibility. You can eat the berries, but you can't bring them home. There's a lot of little rules. You cannot fish in fresh water without permission from the owner. Huh. You cannot leave any trace. No trash. Do not build cairns. That's a big one. That's a big one, huh? That makes sense to me. This whole idea of Allemannsretten, this whole concept of the right to roam, really, really depends on people in Norway having a respect for nature, which is another reason this probably wouldn't work in America. You have to leave it like you found it. No trace, no trash. Americans are not good at this. We are not good at this. We leave trash. We are messy. We are not the most respectful culture. So I don't think, yeah, for many reasons, this wouldn't work in America. But it's really cool to learn about how this exists in Norway. What are some more comments on this? It just works great as long as people respect nature. Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Here in the United States, both the respect for nature and someone can walk on my land are totally foreign concepts. Exactly. This is exactly correct. The idea that somebody can walk on your property, that is totally against American values. For better or for worse, in America, if you own the property, it is yours. No one can walk on it. And that's an American right, and it's a right that a lot of Americans really, really hold dear. So Americans are not used to this attitude of, oh, anybody can walk on. It's like, no, nobody can walk on my property. And the respect for nature thing. Americans don't have this huge respect for nature. We don't value nature that much because it's not that important in our culture. So for those two reasons, Norway is quite different actually. Having grown up in Scandinavia, we just take it for granted. It's not until you don't have it you realize what an amazing gift it is. The Allemannsretten is an amazing gift, and that is totally not an American thing. It's honestly hard for me to wrap my head around, whereas I think for Norwegians, you're so used to it. Maybe it's strange for you to hear how in America none of this would make any sense. Most of the tourists coming to Norway also have no respect for nature. That's unfortunate. Because Norway has such a this is a beautiful idea. This right to roam. It's a beautiful idea, and then people come in and kind of ruin it. Here's links that might be useful. Oh, okay. So that you don't break any of the laws. Firewood from dead branches on the ground only. Many people take branches off of trees to make fire. Ah, so this is actually like a law, like a mandate. Only dead branches on the ground. Yeah. There's a lot of little things. Leave no trace. Very, very important. Leave no trace. What about nature reserves and national parks? Are there extra restrictions regarding, for example, walking of path, tenting, or picking berries and mushrooms? This idea of picking berries and mushrooms, that's a very Norwegian concept as well. I noticed this earlier. In America, we do not walk around picking berries and eating stuff off of plants. We don't know how to identify it. We don't know anything about it. Most Americans would never eat off of a wild plant. So I don't know if this is just something that's more common in Norway. This seems like a Norwegian type of thing. Maybe in Norway you learn about berries and mushrooms and go out into nature and eat them. That's a really interesting idea. it's obviously that's what humans have been doing for most of history, but in America this is a totally foreign concept to us. There are some restrictions, but they vary. Most national parks you can stick with the roaming laws. And there seems to be some fishing laws too. Is fishing popular in Norway? Fishing is somewhat popular in America. Like sport fishing, sort of. You can pick berries, but no other plants or herbs. Huh. But you need to be careful with birds and hatching season. Oh, wow. You really got to know your stuff in Norway. Is this right to roam and all of this knowledge? Is this just stuff you learn growing up in Norway? Because it seems like a lot of information. Take this from someone who knows nothing and learned the word brackish recently. Aren't fjords brackish? What is brackish? Can I look up the word brackish? Brackish. Slightly salty water. It's a mixture of river water and seawater. Slightly salty water. I have never heard of that before. So, brackish? You're allowed to fish in brackish water? Never heard that word before. Another thing is fire. Even in areas where you can make a fire, there are some restrictions after periods of little rain. Making fire. Okay. Tourists should be more mindful about the fruit trees. I see it time and time again. People picking apples, sweet cherries, and plums with zero care. Some take the entire branch with them. Oh gosh. So Norway has a problem with tourists like abusing this Allemannsretten, which I'm not surprised about. I'm really not. That's unfortunate. It's okay to pick wild strawberries from the side of the road, but no need to take the whole plant. Yeah, yeah. Huh, huh. In my opinion, this should only apply to citizens. Oh, the right to roam should only apply to Norwegian citizens? Maybe. I would understand that, honestly. It's nice that Norway allows tourists to use this right to explore, but I would totally understand if Norway was like, no, this is just for Norwegian citizens, the right to roam Norway. I would definitely understand that. Like, I wouldn't even be offended. Certain berries are off limits. Really? Where I was born, there was a cloudberry police force specifically tasked with surveying private land where cloudberries grow to prevent people from picking buckets full. What is a cloudberry? What is a I've never heard of a cloudberry. Is this common in Norway? I've never seen this before. All right, what do these taste like? Americans have never seen this. Like, never seen this before. Or heard of a cloudberry. People in Norway might, like, go pick entire buckets full of this? Are they that good? Cloudberry. I keep seeing cloudberry in this discussion. Really? Huh. So there's actually police protecting the cloudberries in Norway. They're so desirable. I gotta say, this discussion has been absolutely fascinating to me. This is really a foreign concept. The Allemannsretten, every man's right to roam in Norway. There's nothing like this in America. As a matter of fact, in America, I would say we have the opposite. You do not have the right to go on private property. So it's really quite a fascinating thing for me to learn about. It's cool. It's really cool. It's something special about Norway that I really didn't understand fully until today. So I enjoyed this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on Allemannsretten in Norway. If you're Norwegian, what you think about this, that'd be really fun to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and learning about Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.